So we have a problem in front of us that says use the following information to graph the function f over a closed interval -2, 5. It tells us the graph of f is made of closed line segments joined end to end. The graph starts at -2 at the point -2, 3, and the derivative of f is the step function on the figure shown here. Okay, let's not going to do this piece, but let's graph this. And so let's go back. It told us that our function is between -2 and 5. So -2 and 5. I know when I'm going to be graphing these, we're going to have some joining line segments. The graph starts at -2, 3. So let's do that. -2, 3. And it tells me about the derivative. And so looking at the function, I know I have a derivative for when x is -2 to x equals 0. Notice that derivative is equal to -2. So this is saying that the derivative, f prime of x here, is equal to -2. So that tells me the slope of f of x is equal to -2, or maybe we can think of it as -2 over 1. So we can think about our rise over run from our interval x equals -2 to x equals 0. So since I have this point where I'm starting, and I know my slope is falling 2, so I'm going to fall 2. So falling 2, -2, and running over 1. So here's another point on that piece. If I fall 2 and run over 1, I would have another point here. And so for this line segment, the slope of -2, my original function, f of x, looks like a line decreasing there. So now go to the next piece. So looking at the step function, the next piece I have is my slope here is 0. So this is where f prime of x that is equal to 0. And that's between the interval 0 and 1. And so if its slope is 0, between 0 and 1, so it has to be a horizontal line. So that gives me a slope of 0. And then looking at the next piece, which is up here. So for my x values between 1 and 3, my derivative function, my f prime of x, is a constant. It's equal to 1. And that's for my x values from 1 to 3. Okay, so that tells me my original function, f of x. I have a slope is m is equal to 1, or 1 over 1, to put it in the form of rise over run. And so from here, I'm going to rise 1, run over 1 to get another point. I'm going to rise up 1 and run over 1 to get another point. And this is where 3 is, so we can stop. So that line segment of f of x between 1 and 3 looks like that. And then the last piece my function f of x, the derivative here, oops, and this piece between 3 and 5, notice that the slope of my original function is -1. So this is equal to -1. Let's move that. So f prime of x equals -1. So we can think of that as -1/1. And this is on the interval from 3 to 5. And so for my original function, starting at the point we left off on, we're going to fall 1, run over 1 to the right to get a new point. We're going to fall 1 and go over 1 to the right to get a new point. So I can see that my function of f of x looks like this for that piece. And so given the following information, we were able to graph f of x.